Hello and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today I'm in conversation with our founder, Dr. Jayaprakash Narayan. Hello, sir. In a major development that's making waves nationally, in the land of JP, your namesake, Jan Swaraj Party Supremo Prashant Kishor won the Bankipur MLA seat by poll by a margin of 20,000 votes. So now, of course, it is just a by poll, but there are voices, including that of people such as Shekhar Gupta, who are calling it, and I quote, an important event that will have consequences locally, in the state, regionally, as well as nationally. So, what's your take on this?
I agree with Shekhar Gupta. Ordinarily, in a by-election, ruling party wins because they must muster all the muscle, money, star power, and organizationally also, people generally don't vote against a party in power in the state. Even if they are not favorably inclined to that party in power, people are very tactically smart. They want to make sure that whatever good things can happen by the government, they're not denied to them because they voted against the government. So, victory of a ruling party in a by-election in the state is not a big event. But their defeat, particularly when it's a decisive one, it's a fairly big event. Now, in this case, a person who has become the national president of the party, his constituency, a constituency where for 3 decades the party was strongly rooted, lost fairly strongly. It's not a narrow victory, it's a very substantial. That means there's a clear mandate, at least at the constituency level, for change. And that too by a new party. Basically, it's not really so much a party, but as a new face with a new idea. And therefore, people have decisively embraced it. Whether it's in the context of Bihar, the state of Bihar, or in the context of the country, it is an important signal. And if we don't take it seriously and understand what needs to be done to make politics more productive in terms of changing lives, in terms of satisfying people, if we don't recognize the dissatisfaction that led to this, then I think it will be a sad waste of opportunity.
You know, your life doesn't really change because the party wins in the election. It changes because the system works or doesn't. That is what we discuss here. Subscribe to this channel if you would rather understand the system than pick a side.
So now he's also the lone MLA from the Jan Swaraj Party who will be in the Bihar Assembly. So you have done that yourself. You were the lone MLA from Loksatta. So what is the playbook like for such a person, and how will the next 5 years look like for Prashant?
Each of us is conditioned by our own experience, culture, style, personality. I don't know what Prashant would do. Prashant has taken, I think, an aggressive, combative line. And therefore, his approach in the assembly has to be a little different. So I cannot really answer for him. Loksatta's approach and my approach have been different. While we were fighting for new politics, in every which way we tried to practice new politics. There's no strident rhetoric. There's no personal attack. And there is no vilification of political parties. There's respect for the parties. And yet, try and mobilize public opinion on the strength of the issues involved, the institutions that require to be changed, and articulate them consistently. Therefore, in the assembly, while there was some amount of discomfort for the mainstream parties in dealing with somebody like me, there was also some mutual respect and cordiality. As a net result, the House always gave me time by common consent. Typically, if a one-member party would get only a minute or two in a budget thing, because I represent a party, not merely a member, they gave me 5 minutes. But when the calculations were done, I had as much time as the chief minister and opposition leader. And in terms of utilizing the time, because in their cases there'll be disruption, shouting, I probably utilized the time really effectively, fully. Fully, first of all, because there's no interruption or anything. Effectively, because of the way you communicate or use the opportunity to mobilize issues. I would follow that style. But again, if you want a political future for your party, probably a more combative style would be encouraged by the people, because people want a cinematic clash between hero and villain. But that makes you less effective as a legislator in the actual legislative functioning, articulating ideas and mobilizing public opinion, holding the government to account. But that may be more effective in terms of garnering public support locally to build your party. So ideally, you don't know what Prashant Kishore would do. But the broader point is, even a lone MLA, if she or he is clear-headed, genuinely public-spirited, and does the homework to study, to really dig deeper into the issues, and develops a style of public communication which is somewhat consensual. It's not merely controversial or confrontational all the time, but somewhat consensual, so that the House looks forward to your constructive responses. Because trust me, politicians of all hues also want some constructive responses. They also want answers. You don't always have to be combative. Then there is space. There is space for individual legislators of any political party, but much more so for a party like this, because ours is a leader-driven political system. So a legislature party membership, even if you are there as a member, in parliament as a member of parliament, or in the state assembly as an MLA, if you are a part of a big party, the party boss decides whether you have space at all or not. So your hands are completely tied up. As a lone member, you are much freer because you represent a party, you are a lone member, and you came in this way. When I was elected, for instance, something similar happened. The ruling party candidate spent 42 crores against me. He himself told me privately. I mean, in a semi-public platform, actually. The other party spent about 18 or 20 crores. People thought that was a very, quite an unusual victory, particularly in the general election. So the manner in which you come in also engages you. The society is curious to know what's happened. The media is curious. Your fellow members of the House where various parties are curious how you would respond, what you would think. So you can use that curiosity value and novelty value if you're wise, if you're smart, if you do the homework. I hope for the sake of Bihar, for the sake of the country's political trajectory, people like Prashant, they utilize the opportunity very creatively and constructively and become part of the solution.
So now there's the age-old debate in Indian politics: is the party bigger, or the philosophy bigger, or the person? Now in this case, there's only one MLA that Jan Swaraj Party has been able to send to the assembly. So what does that tell us?
No, I don't think Prashant is elected because he's Prashant. I don't think I was elected because I am JP. Okay. While individuals do matter, your credibility, your record does matter. Ultimately, when people see you as a symbol of something that they want to see, what you're articulating, if they feel that is the right thing, that is when unexpected results like this will come. People go outside the boundaries of traditional politics. So I don't think really there's a clash between the ideas and the individual and the party here. Party is, of course, a platform. Right now, in Prashant's case, there is no coherent party with the electoral viability at this point of time. But still, a party's brand is there. What it stands for is there. The hard work of many volunteers and others is there. And the individual's record is there, and visibility in the media is there. And of course, the power of ideas is there. So you can't really distinguish them.
Now, sir, we obviously don't indulge in hyperbole here at FDR. So at the risk of calling the last few months a revolution, now with what happened in Tamil Nadu with Vijay's TVK winning and the student protests in Delhi and now Prashant Kishore's victory, what do they tell us about the underbelly of Indian polity?
First of all, I don't like to use the word revolution lightly. Yeah. And revolution is not always a good thing. And most often, revolution is a bad thing. Unless it's a revolution of ideas, etc. So let's not romanticize this whole revolution business. Nothing is a revolution. Everything is an evolution. It's a slow progress. But emphatically, I have no doubt in my mind, these are all symptoms of a deep-seated desire in India of two kinds. One is the economic one. Cockroach Janata Party in particular represented that. They didn't even know that. They only are like the external manifestation of a deep-seated malady. We're only looking at the external, the ulcer or the pain or the swelling. But there's a deeper malignancy. That malignancy is that our growth process has not embraced the bulk of the young people because of substandard education and skills on the one hand, for no fault of theirs. And it's a fact that we have the lowest level of skills in the world for a G20 country. Absolutely the lowest. Absolutely substandard. Let me not mince words at all. If we don't recognize it, we are hoodwinking ourselves. And the other part of the equation, economic equation, is that we have created an economic model and a governance model where growth of small enterprises and job creation are not allowed, despite all our talk. Your labor laws, your land regulations, your focus on only big cities and high-cost, high-tech industries, capital-intensive industries, they're all necessary. I'm not opposing them. But unless you really look at the bulk of the employment at the bottom of the pyramid, but in an organized sector, giving a future and dignity and opportunity, and unless you prepare the young people with skills for participation in economic activity, we have a deep, deep crisis. The crisis has been brewing for years. We've been saying it from FDR for years. Now it's becoming manifest. If we read it right, not merely as a political thing, this party winning, that party losing, then the country will be benefited. If we make it a political struggle for partisan struggle for relevance and getting victory or defeat, it will be a tragedy. It's not about who is in power. Yeah. It's about a deep-seated malady. The second part is, even if that part is addressed, people are now saying the nature of politics needs to undergo a change. For 25, 30 years, we had more or less a monopoly of Congress party because Congress party was the party of freedom struggle, party of Mahatma Gandhi, party of the great men and women who sacrificed a great deal for the country, party of our grandfathers and great-grandfathers. My grandfather was in Congress, I'm sure your grandfather was in Congress. No, that was the thing. That monopoly lasted, there was a fierce effort to find alternatives. So the next phase is finding the alternatives and eventually find a two-party stability in every state. Well, there's no national two-party system. In every state, we have now intense competition for power. But the competition is real, but the nature of politics is the same in most parties. There's not much of a change. Of course, some accent on agenda may be there. BJP, for instance, stands for fiscal prudence, for infrastructure development, for balancing welfare with long-term growth, for financial sector stability, etc., and investment promotion. But otherwise, in other aspects of governance, there's no fundamental change. And nature of politics, there's not much of a change. Take southern states, for instance, all parties are embracing money power, distribution of money, short-term welfare at the cost of long-term growth, using caste or religion or region as a means of political mobilization. So people are basically saying it's time that you change the nature of politics. People are getting wiser. Yeah. But it will take another 15, 20 years to mature because we are not a one-state country, one-language country. We are not a homogeneous country. We are the world's most diverse country, a continental country, 1/6 of humanity. The process, I think, has begun. I'm pretty confident about it. It will take 15, 20 years to mature, and we must help the maturation of the process, not to stymie the process.
So what are some low-hanging fruits then for us to help with the maturization of this process?
If politicians are smart, from Narendra Modi to chief ministers to all parties, this is actually a time to at least do one thing, right? Genuinely decentralize power. And let me make a cynical argument. They are very sound arguments. Taxes and services must come together, authority and accountability must fuse, and my vote must lead to consequences. I understand. These are the obvious arguments. India is the only serious democracy which failed to decentralize. It's our greatest weakness in our governance. But that is a democratic argument. Take a functional argument for your own survival. Why should Narendra Modi or a chief minister of a state face the consequences of all the problems of the country? Transfer the burden to local people, and certainly in our system, local people, local leadership will emerge. Your MLAs who are trying to be kings of the constituency will tomorrow become kings of the local territory. And because they have pride, they have proprietorial interest, they will actually make a difference because they have real authority and real accountability. Legitimate authority. Right now, you are exercising illegitimate authority, unaccountable authority. Therefore, the burden is falling on the chief minister or the prime minister. Please transfer to them. Tell them you are in charge. Tell the people they are in charge. If they go wrong, we will hold them to account, you hold them to account. Then things can happen. What is very difficult to change, for instance, education system. to change it in the whole country, to make it productive, to get kids the skills that are required. We have sham education system. Let's be truthful. 80% of the kids in schools or colleges are getting nothing for no fault of theirs. Now, you can do that at the national level, impossible, because education is largely a state issue. You can do it at state level, very difficult, because about 40 to 50% of the total state bureaucracy is government teachers. To make them work differently, unless the local community is involved, you cannot really make a difference. China's great success, economic success, is largely because of decentralization, not because somebody in Beijing decided policies and gave orders. The counties and the towns in China, they have real power. 51% of the total expenditure is by the local governments at the local level. The Communist Party chief and the president of the nation, whether Xi Jinping or somebody else, holds the local governments to account, and there's a competition among the local governments to deliver the services and deliver the economic growth. And we see where China is. A Narendra Modi alone or a chief minister in a state or chief ministers together cannot on their own deliver us out of this. So at least as a practical thing, so that you don't face the music when things don't go as well as is hoped. Because even if God is there, even if Lord God himself becomes tomorrow the chief minister of a state or the prime minister of the country, there is no instant solution for Lord God now to give everybody an opportunity in our economy. Because promotion of skills is not going to happen one day. Real education, meaningful education, good outcomes, not going to happen in one day. Small town development or creating a climate where, ecosystem where labor intensive industry, small industry comes up in a large way. Formalization takes place. In situ urbanization takes place. These are great challenges. So there is no miracle. Even God cannot solve. So why do you want to arrogate yourself that power and fail? Why do you want to take the responsibility and pay the price? Transfer to them, give overall direction, give the resources, and hold them to account. They will face the music in a happy way. Because it's their music in my village, in my house, in my colony. That's the music I want to face because this is my life, for life. So at least that creative response, it should have happened 70 years ago, 80 years ago in the country. At least now let us do it. The second part is at least now focus on educational skills, not merely just another program. You have umpteen programs. Whatever you say, there's a program in government. There's a joint secretary in Government of India, there's one Sarvashiksha Abhiyan, there's something else, blah, 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 blah. These are perfunctory, warlike, on a war footing, a fundamental change in the quality of education and skills, and creating opportunities locally to build enterprises. A large number of small enterprises to give jobs to millions upon millions of people. So use the crisis as an opportunity. Be smart. Protect yourselves from public anger or political failure and save the country.
Absolutely, sir. Let's hope the powers that be are listening. And thank you so much for your time. That's all from us today.